One person is in the hospital after an officer-involved shooting. This happened about midnight in the area of 44th and Center. Now, police say it all began as a disturbance. A man involved had a gun, and they say after several minutes of police negotiations, that man refused to drop his gun, and an officer shot him. He was taken to the hospital with critical injuries. No officers were injured. We are staying on top of this, and we'll bring you the latest as we learn it.
We have more breaking news to get to. 3 investment groups have committed a combined $100 million in new funding for League One volleyball, also known as Love Volleyball. The League One owns dozens of junior clubs across the country, including right here in Omaha. The new investment is in addition to the $60 million Love has raised from athletes such as Lindsey Vonn, Kevin Durant, and Candace Parker. The league launches in January.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for First Alert 6 streaming. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. We're going to get you the very cold forecast right now. I mean, this is quite a different what we've been seeing.
Yeah, we haven't had wind chills in the teens yet this season. You're going to notice it when you step out. There's a lot of chill in the air, and the temperatures are going to struggle a little bit this morning. Thankfully, the wind isn't quite as bad as yesterday, but you can see it's still out there. And when temperatures are cold, any bit of wind whatsoever will make it feel a little colder. So 25 feels like 11. Yeah, that's it. You want to bundle up. The thicker coat, dress the family warm, kids warm as they head off to school. This will be a morning where you battle back and forth. You argue about what coat to wear. Hopefully you win this one, parents. We got wind gusts that are trying to get up near 25 miles per hour still. I think these could spike for a couple of hours yet as the sun rises, and then really tail off into the afternoon. But notice where those wind chills are, single digits. Or not in the single digits, I should say, in the teens. I'm glad we haven't seen any single digits just yet. Air temperatures mostly in the 20s. You got a few 30s hanging on, Lincoln to Beatrice to Falls City here. But like I mentioned, wind gusts still could try to hit 30 miles per hour for a bit this morning. Then they back off near 20 miles per hour pretty consistently for the rest of the afternoon into the evening. So a little bit better with the wind. But it's going to be a struggle to warm. Everything about today is the coldest day of the week. Low 40s to start off for the afternoon high, I should say, today, after starting off in the mid-20s. Now, the low tomorrow morning will be pretty similar, but we won't have the wind. So I don't think we're going to have quite the nasty wind chills like we've had this morning. But 44 for the high by the afternoon, then up into the 50s for the afternoon high on Saturday. So that's trending better, and it even looks better if you're heading down to Lincoln for the game, final home game. Right now, mid-50s, fall off into the lower 50s by halftime and down into the mid-40s by the end of the game. So you know it can be colder in November, case in point this morning. But pretty good if you're heading down to Lincoln. You're still going to want a coat, obviously, as it chills down a fair amount, especially by the end of the game. Once that sun sets this time of year, you notice the cold, but it should be pretty good by November standards.
All right, that part is good. Now, not that this is bad, but you're learning more information about how the weather's working out for the Thanksgiving holiday.
I think we got to pay attention to Wednesday and Thanksgiving. Now, there's no slam dunks that we're going to get anything too nasty an hour or two drive away from our area. So that's good news, but a couple of things to watch here. Pause this on Tuesday, perhaps just a little dusting of some light snow showing up on Tuesday. Highly inconsistent with these because they're so far away yet, and as you can see, the systems are so small. So every time we get new model data, it's just a little bit different with where they're at. So we got to pay attention to Tuesday. Also, I think Wednesday into Thursday poses a little bit more of a threat. There's 10 a.m. Wednesday. If you're traveling west to Denver, trying to fly through Denver, pay attention to Wednesday. I think that's where the system starts. But then the question is, does it take more of a track through our area, or does it dive farther south? Most models lean south right now. So that would be more of a Kansas and Missouri problem for Wednesday into Thursday. So folks along I-70, no, we don't know about amounts yet. You got to factor in timing, the changeover, how much cold air, but there is a batch of colder air trying to move in and push this to the south. So this is probably the model that's the most ominous for our area. Others go farther south with this and are less of a problem. So keep an eye on this if travel to Denver or points south towards Kansas City or St. Louis is in your plan. That's where right now it looks like the biggest impacts are going to try to be. Then by Friday, this system kicks to the east, maybe a little bit of an issue near Chicago. So let's look at potential snowfall. Again, we're just kind of showing you where models are painting it. We're not going to talk about amounts or anything. Still issues back here towards Denver, and then most of it down in parts of Kansas and Missouri with that round. Different model, and the one I mentioned, this is the one that goes a little farther south. It's got a couple of dustings here, and look at that. It doesn't have much of anything down here. It goes way far south with it. So this is what we'll be watching. It's all going to come together. We'll figure it out as we go over the course of the next few days. But right now, pretty inconsistent as to the track of it, but it's showing a storm system right now. Before that, we get 50s. After this, we get 30s for next week. So it's going to be cold next week leading up to and including Thanksgiving. We got tickets to Iowa City for that game too. Whew. Yeah, it's going to be a chilly one. Been colder. I've been to a cold game at Iowa City before. That is. Ooh.
How was that? Was it fun?
Oh, man. I didn't want to do anything the next day. That's exhausting.
Especially when you're just standing there too, like no movement. You're just standing there. It just allows.
You got big clothes on. You're just like, oh my God, I like football, but this isn't fun anymore.
No, that's true.
That's honest. All right, we're going to check out on the forecast. Not the forecast, we just did that. The traffic this morning with Jarrett. How are things moving along?
Well, it depends on where you're going. There's a couple issues we got. And I'm going to start on I-80 because that's where we've had a crash that has been impacting things. And in particular, it's right near 60th where we've got the issue. So here it is westbound on I-80, right around 60th. You can see some of the delays in the approach to this. Now, a little bit ago, this was in the center lane, and there were all kinds of issues, and it was one of those situations where I was watching it on the DOT cams and kind of going, ooh, because people are trying to steer in either direction. A lot of close calls with that. Thankfully, it's been moved to the shoulder. Looks like the DOT has moved that camera, and then the camera just went away for me. But what we're seeing in that area, let's just go back to the map here. You can see that things are slow. It's over on the right shoulder now is where that crash is. And with people kind of seeing that being the case, they're working that scene, you are looking at some delays in the approach to that crash. So watch for that. That's an area where you could be looking at some issues here as we make our way through the next 15, 20 minutes as they continue to work that scene. There's yeah, that camera's still not working. So, okay, let's move on to what's after that. And here's what we've got. We are looking at the JFK being another area I'm keeping a close eye on this morning, where we've had some occasional delays up near I-80, a little further to the south near Chandler. We've had occasional slowdowns. Right now, both areas actually look pretty good, but I do anticipate over the next 20 minutes or so, we'll likely start to see those delays show back up. We've also had some occasional delays near 90th and Dodge, picking up the traffic, and you zoom things out, you'll notice that a lot of our delays are tied to either that crash on I-80 or a couple of construction zones. You've got center right as you're getting around 72nd or so. You've got some work that's happening there today, tomorrow, and into our Saturday. That's why you've got the slowdown showing up eastbound there. But with that crash out of the lanes on I-80, we're seeing improvements. Okay. So things moving along in decent shape. Of course, we'll keep you posted if that starts to change.
All right. Appreciate the update, Jarrett. Thank you. We do have an update to an exclusive First Alert 6 investigation. The detective who helped solve a decades-long cold case is speaking out. Joseph Ambrose was arrested in connection with the murder of 17-year-old Mary Kay Hesse. A Saunders County attorney investigator Ted Green says the key to the case, an updated autopsy. It came after forensic pathologists from the Offutt Military Identification Lab examined the remains.
This is a case that didn't have anything glaring at it, but it had small pieces all along the way. This was all gumshoe. It's all gumshoe work.
Do you have the murder weapon?
I'm not gonna say that right now.
Now, even though a suspect is in custody, the case is not officially closed just yet. If you have any more information on the murder, you are asked to call the Saunders County Attorney's Office.
All right, now over to the First Alert Safety Desk with Maria Cage. She's joining me now with some very encouraging numbers regarding lung cancer.
Yeah, there is a new report that's coming out, and we're going to get to those numbers. But first, I want to give a little bit of context. Of course, cancer, you know, it's a disease that affects all of us. Somebody in our lives we probably know has been touched by that. The National Cancer Institute estimates that more than 600,000 people are going to die from cancer this year. But this new report, it is encouraging. They're talking a little bit about lung and bronchus cancer that is responsible responsible for most of those deaths, but this new report is providing some hope for survivors. Now, the American Lung Association, they say that the 5-year lung cancer survival rate has increased 26% over the past 5 years. So some good news there. But at the same time, some not so positive news. We have shared this many times here at the Safety Desk. Racial and ethnic disparities, those are still in place when it comes to survival. Now, screening rates for the disease, those are also remaining pretty low. Only 16% of people who have a high risk are getting those screenings, according to the report. Experts say early detection through a low-dose CT scan, that can raise the chances of survival.
Unfortunately, most states do not require insurance coverage of this testing. So that's something that we're really pushing for, each state having a requirement to cover this comprehensive biomarker testing, which again will help save lives.
Now, you are eligible to have that lung cancer screening if you're in a few different groups. If you're between 50 and 80 years old, you have a 20-pack year history of smoking. Now, that means you smoke 1 pack a day for 20 years or 2 packs a day for 10 years. The other group, if you are in this, you are eligible. If you are a current smoker or you have smoked before but quit within the last 15 years, you're still eligible for that screening.
Okay, good to know. Switching gears now, the holiday season fast approaching, and you have some good information for us about scams that target our beloved elderly.
And actually, you know, these scams, they happen all year long, but they really pick up during the holidays. There's a big increase in them just because of the specific tactics that people are using to target. Now, according to a report from the FBI, scammers stole $3.4 billion from Americans over age 60 last year. And a big reason because of that, experts say they target this group because most of them have a big bulk of savings already built up. Now, I spoke with the CEO of US Aging. She says that there are 3 common types of scams that are especially common during this time of year. One is called a charity scam. People are going to call asking for donations to a charity, but it's not actually the charity who is calling. Another is called a grandparent scheme. This is when a scammer calls pretending to be your grandchild or a friend of that grandchild. Most times they say they are in danger and need money from you. And that is not true. It is not them. If you or someone you know has been a victim, there are resources to help, like the Elder Care Locator.
The Elder Care Locator is a national information and referral service that connects older adults and caregivers to a range of services and supports targeted to keep older adults safe and secure at home.
Now, she says another good resource are Area Agency on Aging locations. We do have one here in Omaha, the Eastern Nebraska Agency. If you want to learn more about that or the Elder Care Locator, we have all this information for you up on our website, firstalert6.com. You could check it out there and learn more.
Lisa, your grandma's been a victim.
Yes, yeah.
My grandpa has almost been a victim so many times before my mom swooped in and intervened. But I think the best way to kind of put it in perspective is that, you know, growing up, they didn't have these kinds of targeters going after them.
And, you know, they're probably thinking it's innocent too, especially when you think about the charity donations you might want to give during this time of year, but you definitely have to do your research, see who is calling, and make sure, verify that it is the person who they say they are.
Absolutely. Maria, thank you. All right, we'll be back after this.
Welcome back, everybody. The big story today is the cold. I even felt it this morning in my house. I was like, whoa, I haven't felt there was like a chill in the house, even with the heat on.
That's the thing. It's got a bite to it this morning. That wind's driving it in, and we haven't had wind chills this cold for a long time. Air temperatures haven't been this cold for a long time. So First alert to, well, wind gusts up over 20 miles per hour in some spots. Remember, we factor the wind chill off the sustained wind, so each of these gusts will make it feel a little bit colder. Today, if it's your trash day, you may hear that lid flapping if you're working from home. Thankfully, the wind's a little bit lighter, but still going to be noticeable out there. Feels like temperatures in the teens out the door. Coldest number 11 in Omaha, 12 in Fremont, 14 in Columbus, couple of places near 20. You can see most of us in the 20s for air temperatures at the moment. So let's go through how things look here hour by hour in your first alert forecast here. You got some thicker clouds off to the northeast trying to hang on. Temperatures in the 20s as of right now. So as we make our way towards 9 o'clock, we're right near 30 degrees the way it appears. Still got a little bit of a breeze out of the northwest. I think we can get close to 40 by noon, but probably just shy of it still. And that's why the struggle is going to be real today to try to warm up. Near 40 degrees for the high, a little bit below average for this time of year by 3 o'clock or so, and then falling back near 40 degrees by 5. And then overnight tonight, it will be another cold one, but thankfully it won't be quite as windy with it. So by 7 o'clock, we're down in the mid 30s. Overnight tonight, 30s will gradually turn into 20s, especially after 10 o'clock. So by the time we'll get into the early morning hours tomorrow morning, I think air temperatures will be pretty similar to what we have out there right now, but the wind won't be howling. So the air temperature, the wind chill, those should be pretty similar numbers compared to what we have out there right now. So we got the wind gusts this morning, back in the 50s by the weekend. Possibility of some rain and snow leading up to and including Thanksgiving. Showed you this a little earlier. This is that little pocket we'll watch for Tuesday. Then a system by late Tuesday into Wednesday we'll watch, tries to bring some snow to Denver. And then does it dive way south and out of our area, or can it be more of an I-70 problem that sneaks a little bit of precipitation into our area? So this is the model that's probably the closest to us. So we'll watch that for Wednesday into Thursday. Still too early to be talking about amounts or anything, but give you a little idea. You got to pay attention. It's not a quiet forecast next week by any means. You get 50s though this weekend. Pretty good one. If you want to get those Christmas lights up, you got another good weekend to do it. Getting the good stuff lining up at least over the weekend anyway. But you can see the early signs of that colder air arriving as early as Monday of next week.
And even as we look ahead to Thanksgiving and even beyond Thanksgiving into early December, it kind of feels like those moderate temperatures are kind of maybe behind us. It seems like we're dipping into the cold, Rusty.
Yeah, sometimes cold air can be really tough to shake, and it's dense, it's heavy, and it's tough to move out of the way. And you can see what it looks like here as we go towards the tail end of the month here. A lot of 30s for highs, morning lows for 20s, some of those low-end precipitation chances. If you're heading to that Nebraska-Iowa game, it's in Iowa City this year. It's probably going to be even colder there than it is here. So bank on a cold one, and odds even lean in, like Aaron was saying, into the early part of December here, where cooler than average weather is probably going to end up winning out over a good chunk of the area to start the month. But hopefully we can push all this to the east and get a little warmth trying to roll in after this point. So once we get into those 30s, it might be tough to shake them for a little while. Starting off the month of December. So that's what we're looking at long range here.
It's just where we are.
That's just how it goes.
It's just the way it is this time of month here. Rusty, thank you. All right, Jared has a new crash to tell us about.
Yeah, another one on the interstate. This one is 680,
Okay.
So now we've got two different interstates that have impacts. Yeah, this is up near Blair High with this one, and you're seeing as you look at the map, you may notice that the ramp in particular is showing up slow. There's a reason for that. It's not on the ramp, but it's basically by the ramp. It's right where they meet, the interstate and that ramp. So there you go. That's the reason why you're looking at the ramp being so slow, is it's in between the interstate and the ramp. So you've got traffic that's making its way this way onto that ramp. You've got traffic that's maybe getting into the left-hand lane to try to give some extra room for the crews that are working that. You got another vehicle here that's just kind of sitting there in the ditch. So kind of a mess right through this area. Again, this is northbound on 680 right near the exit ramp to Blair High. So watch for the delays that are in place there. Of course, we still have impacts on I-80. It's getting a lot better now, though, with that vehicle that's been moved on to the right shoulder right near 60th as you go westbound. It looks like we're really seeing some improvements. So good news there. Maybe we're seeing things start to wrap up with that one. We zoom things out, starting to get our first signs of peak of the commute slowing on eastbound Dodge. That just tends to happen at this point in the morning from about 120th or so back to 180th. Elsewhere, though, we're moving along pretty well. So if we can get the interstates in order here, we're looking at a pretty smooth commute.
All right, Jared, thank you. Well, we know many of you are excited to see the new Wicked movie this weekend.
But you may not be able to fully enjoy the experience, at least not yet. What you need to know before you go when First Alert 6 streaming comes back.
Well, if you were looking forward to singing Defying Gravity while watching Wicked, you better think again.
All right, the movie chain AMC is reportedly going to play a 30-second advisory before the film, reminding moviegoers that silence is golden. This has been talked about for a while, by the way, that they were going to play this. However, fans will be able to channel their inner Elphaba and their Galinda next month. That is when sing-along screenings of Wicked will be offered starting on Christmas Day. Part 1 of the film hits theaters on Friday. Remember, there's going to be a part 2 coming out next year as well. Yeah, you didn't know that?
I had no clue.
This is just Act 1.
Trust me, I'm learning a lot.
Okay.
I'm learning a lot.
Right?
We have all the
I think that's for the best. Have the sing-along Christmas Day.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll be nice. Well, also when you think about the economic perspective of it, then they get the people who are big fans going the first time, then they pay again to see it the second time and sing along.
What are they going to do with the offenders? Because you know there's going to be people
There'll be.
who can't help themselves. They've been waiting for this. They're
There's
going
already
to want to
been.
sing.
There's already been.
Are they removed?
I mean, at any movie theater, if you are causing a disruption, you can ask for an attendant, and they will ask you to leave if
but
it's
it's
serious.
joy.
It is. Hopefully, we don't want it to come to that. I don't think anybody does. But it's just a warning. Just
Enjoy the sound of Ariana
inside.
and Cynthia singing.
I think
Professionals, you're not.
I think you're going to be so blown away. I think you're going to want to listen. So, okay.
Oh, it's so fun. All right. Thank you for joining us. It's time for First Alert 6 team to prepare for our update in the Today Show. You can watch while we work. You can also watch the cut in here on the stream or over the air.
All right. Have a great start to your Thursday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Thursday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. A couple slowdowns to talk about this morning. We'll check in with Jarrett Lansford.
And they're tied into some crashes. Starting on 680, it's right at the exit ramp from northbound 680 to go to Blair High is where we have the crash in place. And you're noticing Blair High also slowing down itself in that area. Unfortunately, the view not showing up, but it's in between the interstate and the exit ramp that you need to watch for that crash. On I-80 westbound near 60th, we had a prior crash. Looks like that one has cleared. We're seeing things move pretty well through that stretch. And when you look overall, a couple slowdowns on some of our major roads, but nothing major that is showing up at this time. Rusty.
All right, thanks, Jared. It's cold out there. Got wind chills down in the teens and a little bit of a breeze, flag waving right there. 25 air temperature, coldest we've had since early April. Feels like number of 11. The wind is not helping matters at all. You can see most air temperatures in the 20s. Number on the right here is the wind chill. Those are in the teens. So air's got a bite to it. We'll try to improve those numbers as we head towards lunch, but I think the best they'll get today because of the wind and just the overall colder air combo probably feels like close to 30 by the middle of the afternoon at best. So you're going to want that heavier coat all day long. It looks like winds right now gusting up 20 to 25 in some spots. I wouldn't be surprised if we can get those on average up near 30 for another couple hours yet, and then they fall back later on this afternoon to a little more manageable level. High of 41 today. Aaron?
One person is in the hospital after an officer-involved shooting. This happened around midnight in the area of 44th and Center. Now, OPD says it started as a disturbance. A man involved had a gun. After several minutes of police negotiations, OPD says the man refused to drop the gun. An officer shot at him. The man was taken to the hospital with critical injuries. No officers were hurt.
It is 7:28, and we are back with another update for you in 25 minutes. We'll see you then.
Your First Alert 6 weather forecast is sponsored by Getchman Heating and Air.
Good morning, everyone. A first alert to the chilly air. Wind chills in the teens for a few more hours yet before they improve a little bit this afternoon. Otherwise, your first alert forecast takes air temperatures in the 20s, gets us up to about 40 for a high later on today.
Your First Alert 6 weather forecast is sponsored by CHI Health.
Good morning, everyone. A first alert to some blustery winds yet this morning.